Thank you for listening to Mailbox Money, your guided tour through safe, sacred, and speculative investing with a plan and a purpose to do more good with newfound peace of mind. All right, everybody, welcome back to another episode of Mailbox Money. I am Jackson Wood, joined as always by Ryan Kruger. In today's episode, we are going to talk about parenting and teaching children and your kids about money and the lessons, 5 important lessons we have learned through our experience. And I dare say that we have a pretty good amount of experience here. Ryan has 5 children, we've mentioned. We welcomed our 5th into the world 90 hours ago, something like that. And just the whole mantle you feel when you welcome these new ones in, not only taking care of them, but teaching them and hopefully setting them up for success. And so we're going to chop it up today with some pretty good experience that we have seen work. And I'm excited to implement with my little ones as they start to learn about money and life and the lessons that they're going to learn along the way. I'm pretty excited for this one. It's touching.
I think the most underrated part of any business plan is fun, and we're going to have a little fun. And I want to do this as a regular segment now, Big Daddy. I want to do like a parenting powwow corner. Like, man, we can share and get feedback and questions. We can laugh together. We can cry together. And if the queen of your castle comes or sends somebody barging through your door in the next couple of minutes and ends this podcast in 3 minutes, that's just the way it's going to go too. I mean, you got an appointment you got to get to. Nothing else matters in those precious moments as I remember. And just because I'm a little bit further down the road, do not adjust your sets if you're on YouTube. Just a slight age difference, although I shall remain an ageless beauty. That's lesson number 1. The kids will keep you young. No choice. But I've got one graduating college in a couple months. You've got one born last week. Full house. 3 queens over 2 kings for each of us. 3 little girls, 2 boys. And if between the 2 of us, as I congratulated Carly on the dream team, the starting 5 on the floor, if we haven't learned a few things that can benefit somebody, then and especially since I'm still learning. I mean, I haven't figured out any of this stuff. They don't give you a playbook when you walk out. I still don't know how to swaddle. But I just bought the senior class ring and we're going to graduate. We got to keep going. So we want to chop it up. And I really, in all seriousness and in all fun and grins, I thought of as a present to your sweet little girl, the 5 things that my 5 kids have taught me that we talk about a lot in case it helps anybody going down any one of these roads, or that we're just in it together. That's why I want to do this parenting powwow on a regular basis. Like all of the most complex financial plans and investment management and the hardest advice, all of that stuff in our day-to-day life takes a back seat to what's going on with the family. I've always said the most important part of any plan, who you're with. So let's go. Number 1 of 5 that I learned, and I continue to learn on a daily basis, is first is third. And I give credit to my good buddy Chris, who runs an unbelievable Christian camp down here near me, for coining that term. And what he meant is others and God way before you, and teaching kids that way. Whether you're religious or not, the one takeaway, lesson number 1, is you are going to be a distant third. No matter what your plans were, shove them way to the corner of the desk, or they may just fall in the trash can altogether. Because what's about to happen, no matter what age, and I think God giggles at any of our plans anyways, every one of your wishes and desires should be a distant third if you're going to go down this path. And I don't necessarily suggest 5 kids for everybody. He happens to have 5 also, magical giggle there. But unless you have a lot of extra love to give or are a lunatic, I don't recommend that. But whether, and I always joke, after three, it's all equal craziness. I mean, once it's more than 2. So I know, Wood, you have even more examples of being shoved way back in line in all of the best ways, and we wouldn't have it any other way, as a distant third. But the financial lesson amidst all those wonderful grins and tears and all those life experiences, first is third, except when it comes for savings. So I've seen too many people that put every single thing they've got and are intimidated by the investment community and say, you got to save for your kids. You got to save for kids' college. You got to, well, and by the way, nobody ever told me that you might have an elementary school age kid that's costs more than your college kid. So all of these planning, it's all wonderful. And there's wonderful ways to do it. We'll share with you our example here in a second, open up our own playbook, but don't put you and your spouse's plans and savings and real life, whether that's retirement as a dream for you, that's not mine. I love working, but don't wait. As long as you are certainly saving something for yourself, and it's not selfish, they need it just like the oxygen mask. If there's big time turbulence or there might be a problem there, your cash flow, your savings as the parents, including no anxiety because of little extra savings, alongside any kid's saving. Do not put one in front of the other is my first piece of advice.
This is something I actually battled with when my son was born. You know, getting excited to fund his accounts and calculating in my head. But I think that this is important, incredibly important, and a powerful lesson. And also, that prevents, you know, when you prioritize your saving over college, and we know college tuition is outrageously expensive and only getting more and more expensive as time goes on. But it also prevents parents from being a financial burden down the road to their kids when the kids are grown. And you can secure your financial freedom and your freedom day ahead of the, ahead of college. It just makes the entire transition. So I'm really glad that that was point number one. And this first is third example, I couldn't help but smile, kind of laugh in my misery as we thought we had, baby came early, 4 days early. And so we thought we had the entire process lined out, fridge stocked, schedules written down, sitters ready, family ready to swoop in. And we did, with the exception of the 4:30 or the 2:30, wake up call when we ran out of milk and our other baby was crying at night. And so I'm driving down the street trying to figure out which store is even going to be open this early or late at night, however you look at it. And I couldn't help but smile and just be grateful for, you know, my wish to have any sort of consistent 2-hour block of sleep was thrown out the window. And I happily grabbed a gallon of milk at Walgreens, which was the only place I could find that was open. And I might have grabbed a candy bar for myself.
Hey, those first couple hours, minutes, and they say the days are long, the years are short. Enjoy those simple requests, because now when you have teenagers and adult kids and you go shopping for all their different tastes, I'm intimidated now. I can't even find regular milk. There's like 19 different kinds of milk. I'm pretty sure some of those were never even asked if they wanted to be milked. There's all sorts of milk coming out of different things that I don't understand. My dad grew up milking cows on a farm, which leads me in to number two, by the way.
Yeah.
Real talks about real choices, never cursing them with too much comfort, and take that whichever direction you wish. Just, it's somewhat related to number one. Do not go out of your way to take care of everything for them and talk. I think these supper table talks, I've said it before, I'll say it again. If and when money does come up, and I think it should come up at an earlier age, which we're about to get into than most, rather than saving for them, let's talk with them. Those lessons at the supper table can be better than any MBA or certified financial plan designation. I'll put my career on that. But when my dad tells a story to me and to my kids about chopping cotton in Miles, Texas, when all the other kids were in town with a Coke and a candy, like you would. I mean, you got comfort. You're getting the candy. We're going to take opposite. You're splurging, and I'm going to take the other side of that. When he was a little kid,
yeah,
he calculated how many rows of cotton he would have to chop in order to afford that Coke. And he wasn't deprived. He was shown hard work, which ended up being the best gift he ever got. It was his choice. And when you think about every purchase decision as a kid of how many rows of cotton would that cost me, it changes purchase decisions. Doesn't mean you can't ever do one of those, but you think twice about it and you may not want to do it. I would submit, and I think this will be my one prediction on this show. I think this will be the biggest challenge for anybody that's mildly successful in their careers, not cursing them with comfort and giving them that version of their question wherever they are. If they're not chopping cotton, to make it a little bit hard for them to decide with some of their own money, that's difficult. I think it'll be a bigger challenge than a lot of your business decisions. I've seen it. That's number two for me.
I got a huge dose of this. So when we got home, I tried to spend a little extra time with the kids that were trapped at home while we focused on the baby. And one of my favorite things to do with my son is to watch Mr. Beast videos. Him and I just laugh and goof off the whole time. And we watched this video. I'm careful about what my kids watch on YouTube, but Mr. Beast with his wholesome videos and changing lives, we like it. And there was a quick example where they put this guy inside a store, and however many days he could stay, he got $10,000 a day. And it's it's like a Fred Meyer or a Ridley's or something that they buy. They bought the whole store, giving all the food to charity. Really wholesome video, fun, and the guy was smart, talking about all this money he was going to do to pay off his house and put some away and pay for college. And after the video was done, I talked to my son and I said, that's such a cool story. Like, that's really a good video to watch. And it was fun and entertaining. And my son says, yeah, it's kind of a bummer. And I said, what do you mean it's kind of a bummer? The guy just won a ton of money and that's going to change his life. And he goes, when his 6-year-old brain is working, thinking through the catalog of other shows, Mr. Beast shows he's watched, he says, well, he didn't win that much money. You know, the other guys on some of the other challenges, they win millions. And this guy, he didn't win that much. And so I realized at that point in time, society is pushing to the relationship with money that people have nowadays is so skewed and different from how it needs to be in the real life. Luckily, we're fortunate enough to work for people that have a very close relationship with money and understand the value of hard work. And so that was kind of a lesson I took, as I've got to make sure he understands how hard work is and what the value of a dollar is before Mr. Beast and all of the lives he's changing and millions of people across the world he's blessing kind of desensitizes our kids to what money actually is and how much of money is a lot. So I thought that was really powerful. And man, I can't underemphasize enough the don't make them too comfy, even though as a parent, you want to give them everything that you possibly can.
And hey, it's harder to peel these kids off the couch watching even good shows where there are good messages. It's not all evil. Anybody that just throws their hands up and says it's all a waste of time, as I've always joked, when all parents agree and are yelling about the same thing, you probably trip down the next $1 billion idea and rabbit hole. But even amongst those, I've always said, whether they listen or agree or not, especially if we're consuming all of this media, good and bad, you're going to have a choice. Even as a kid, certainly as an adult, you can be a taker or a maker. And I'm not the most creative artist. I get all of mine made for me by my 5 kids, but that advice is great. Or else we'll all trip down a rabbit hole of ending up taking in digital media and other people's content all day long if we're not careful. Or we can go make something. Speaking of making something, number 3, show them real work. The harder, the better. Now, I don't know a single, and I think we have the luckiest, best, most interesting job filled with, relentless curiosity helps. That's what I'm plagued with. But getting to serve the people that we do is unbelievable. And they have one thing in common: the most successful financially. If you're looking for any clues, whether you agree or not, if you just back into the hard evidence, not a single one of them came from a place of too much comfort. All of them had some version of very hard work or hard circumstances that forged them. I believe the best gift and investment plan you can give a kid that is better than really confusing 529s or trust accounts is just letting them see what real hard work and real interest and devotion to a craft. I've said this next generation, there's going to be a lot of talk about AI. To me, the killer app will be authentic interest. That's our version of AI. Whatever it is that you do, and I guess this would be advice, and I hate to give it, but I'll just share examples. If you're doing something that you're not wildly passionate about, consider changing. That would be the best thing you could give your kid, because if they see the power and the potential of real hard work, which I think as the kids get older, my first job was at 13 and I've worked every single year ever since. I wanted to do that. My mom and dad didn't make me, but if there's any version of skin in the game, which you hear this a lot around here, it goes to our investment management discussions where Morningstar just updated the study of about 2/3 of mutual fund managers have not one penny in their own fund. So skin in the game matters for our day job and these 30-minute podcast powwow parenting huddles that we're doing right now. So to me, skin in the game would be when a kid wants something, and I know this has happened to you, Wood. All right, well, what are you willing to do for it? If it's big enough, like maybe we collaborate. If it's important enough, I'll put up some, you put up some. My favorite story to that end, after meeting him and realizing he really is that much energy in real life and positive juice, Mark Cuban wanted a new pair of basketball shoes when he was a kid. His dad said the ones you have are just fine. You want a new one? Go buy them yourself. He started selling trash bags door to door. Ended up backing a few other businesses along the way. If there's creative ways to find skin in the game for your kids as they get a little older, I think that's where some of the magic can really happen, because I'll take real hard work over really confusing investment products for this parenting.
Maybe 3 weeks ago, Sunday morning open our garage to see a unknown car parked right in the center of our garage, and our oldest and his friend out there with my shop vac and all my tools and cleaning stuff spread across the garage. I said, "What? Whose car is this? What are you doing? Why? It's 8:30 in the morning. Everyone's asleep. Why are you running a shop vac?" He said, "Oh, this is our mobile detailing business. We can't do the outsides because it's snowing, but we can do the insides." And I helped him that night create a little business card. And to me, that was maybe checking the box. And quality control, I think, is still something we're working on as we get through these next few car interior details. But I look back at riding my bike to my first job with the Murray City Parks and Rec to run a lawnmower and weed eater all day, earplugs in, fondly. And I feel like that taught me a pretty valuable lesson. And I hope to be able to share that one with our kids. Now, this next one, I'm not going to spill the beans on this tagline that ever since I heard you say, oh, sorry.
Hey, hold on. Before you go there, because we're going fun here in a second, I wanted to give one quick example that you just reminded me of, because I've seen this work and it's so much fun as a parent. So I want selfishly, next time, whether it be skin in the game or go get a job or what they should be doing, consider if you do have an extra couple of nickels, if you do have some of the benefits of really, really hard work. And I like doing this to kids of all ages, including much older ones. What about backing them?
Yeah.
Instead of employing them or telling them to go to get a job, if they have one of mine is like, you know how much money you could work if you wanted to really, really work hard and listen to number 3 and power wash? Well, I'll back you. I'll buy the equipment. You do the work and we're in business together. That is so fun. And those have been the best lessons. Anyways, you're about to go down my favorite slope of fun. But go ahead. I wanted to, you reminded me of that. And there's one of those examples for every family. They're different.
I love that skin in the game and backing them and teaching them income statements and balance sheets and business plans and getting on Canva to create a business card like that. That to me felt like a win. And hopefully it's instilling, this spirit of entrepreneurship and business building and taking care of your customers and all that. So, all right. So the tagline that you used, and I'll let you share this because it literally changed the way I think about having fun with a family, um, and going on trips or camping or whatever it is. Around here, it's the big trips to Disney World are on hold for a while for us with all this crew we've got. But something simple is, going up into the mountains and on a Sunday hike or something. And we've kind of gone through all these bullet points, but this one, I think we're getting to one of the funnest parts. And I say this selfishly, as I've built this into my plan, I think I have more fun than the kids do some of these trips, and it's the fondest memories I have. But I know that they're remembering what we do, and it's going to help them do it with their kids and so on. So I just want to make that little quick intro before we get to this next one.
Well, I don't want any of this to be confused with playing poor or making it too hard. And I'll prove that with number 4. I recommend strongly you opening an adventure capital account. Here's what I mean. Whether you're uber successful and have heard about venture capital and all of these exotic ways to make a bunch of money and then figure out how to one day leave it to kids and avoid taxes. I mean, that's missing some of the fun right here and now. Or if you're just getting started and struggling, this will all be difficult, which we've all been there too. I would suggest next to kids saving, which we talked about, and we're going to open the hood here in number 5, showing exactly how I've done it all the way from my 21-year-old big kid to Woods from last week. So next to kids, next to yourself, retirement account, liquid savings, specifically and intentionally carving off what I call an adventure capital account. Whatever that means to anybody. For me, I sit here as we're recording this and I'm staring at what mine was, a place in nature where our family could go and experience the science, and there really is science, fun books. Yes, I'm a nerd too, even in nature, about the science of awe, where that feeling and the word awesome comes from being reminded of how small we are in the midst of unbelievable, gigantic nature, which is the best example. But you have any number of different, it could be one trip where you intentionally save to make sure that happens rather than waiting until it gets here and seeing what we have left over. And then we have an unhealthy relationship with money. And then we're trying to figure out why we're mad at the markets because it's not doing enough for us. I'm simply suggesting, and for my adventure capital account, I actually just kept it in cash. I didn't even invest it. I was so excited about getting something set aside to have one simple, sweet escape where we could avoid all of these screens for a little while, whatever that meant. And everyone listening to this has their own version of that, or should go try a bunch of likes before they find what their love is. And it only will happen. And I think it makes saving really, really fun. And so I would fund that adventure capital account if you did stumble into some extra profits or a result of really, really hard work. Next to the retirement, next to the kids' savings, put a couple of bucks in the adventure capital account on something that you guys are on fire for trying or doing. Maybe that's a vacation home. Maybe it's a simple, radical act of kindness, of giving and making that the experience. And adventures, instead of waiting for college and certainly way before retirement, what could we enjoy now? That was one of the biggest reasons we escaped Wall Street, when the conflict of interest that we shared, which this is all about how to manage more assets under management for them and their fees, and that's a conflict of interest. We have this crazy notion of what if we help people be reunited with their money even sooner? That's number 4, and it is the most fun, and it will light anybody on fire. So we got to have some fun along the way. So adventure capital account, strong recommendation, and there's no minimum.
I think this is driving at and hitting home to the purpose of all of this. I met with a partner that I'm fortunate enough to work for maybe 2 weeks ago, and we were on Zoom, shared a screen, pulled up this like 40-acre ranch. Said, I want to buy this for my daughters before they get out of high school. And he told me twin daughters, cheerleaders, makeup, bows, everything a cheerleader would be into. Friends over every night, Friday night, to the mid hours of the night. He said, I want my daughters to come home, take off their sneakers, their cheer shoes, put on the boots, and take care of these horses with me. And they have talked about it and dreamt about this since they were 10. They love horses. What should I do? And he said, I feel guilty taking money out because of how well it's done and cash yields. And what about the tax? And I cut him off. I don't do that very often. And I said, look, I love you. This is exactly why you set this plan in place. Giddy up. Let's go. Send me some pictures of the horses and let's go for it. And the smile of his face, on his face and his daughters, I can't wait to see it. That's what this is for. And really the driving purpose for any of this to begin with. And so I couldn't think that that's more powerful, and I'm fully on board and endorse it entirely.
All right, you've made it this far. There's been way too many goosebumps and grins and tears. You need to get on some hardcore math. I thought you guys were an investment podcast. This number 5 is for you. But to be clear, it's in this order for a lot of really good reasons. And we're going to call this the parenting Pow WOW, where we learn from each other. We do not have all the answers, but in honor of the Woodpile adding number 5 to their unbelievable dream team last week, and congratulations. We were sharing today 5 lessons that we've learned to sprinkle what can be the magic of investing across our 5 kids. Number 5 is the only one I'm terribly biased by, but I've seen how it works, and I've also seen how it works not so well. So I'm going to share both sides of that. And it's very controversial. Most folks in our industry totally disagree with it. And there's very confusing and complex products that pay them very well, so that nobody knows that it can be much simpler. I'm going to share with you what's in my kids' accounts, what we did in our family, in case it helps anybody. Not a recommendation, certainly not for everybody, but I really believe, and I've seen those early conversations, and that great book for parents called Range, about how intimidating it is for a kid to hear, follow your passions. You got to do what you love. What if they don't know yet? What if adults listening to this don't know yet? So I would suggest, and the book does a great job of talking about trying as many likes before you might know what you love. So for me, one of those is each of my 5 kids has their own account. It's in joint name with my wife. So we're not gifting it to them. It's not a trust, and all those different laws that have changed a lot in 21 years, usually named after a different congressman or woman along the way. And we chose not to do 529s. There's nothing wrong with that. And especially if you have a wealthy grandparent that wants to get money out of their estate, there's a lot right with it. But it's expensive, it's illiquid, and it misses and loses the ability to pop the hood and actually get inside the account and talk about it. So when I say their account, it's just nicknamed with each one of their names, but my wife and I own that account. It's a joint account where it's liquid. We can do with it whatever we want. If they choose to go to college or not, or get a scholarship, it's liquid. We have flexibility, but at an early age, a couple of their likes, anything they might be interested in, way before they learn about investing or worried about how to invest, and certainly will never figure out how to invest at the name of the mutual funds out there. I want to go inside, and if one of my kids might be interested in science or something as goofy as video games, which is not that goofy, that $1 billion idea where all the parents were yelling about it, or my littlest one, I'll just share the simplest example to prove how crazy, wild, good, and bad this can be. My youngest one, his account's worth more than the others based simply on his crazy likes of, he likes trucks and he likes railroads, and he is really clean and hardworking. He's got a trash company in there. We talked about all of them. And so when you're stuck in a big long line or stuck in traffic, all of a sudden pointing out little bitty conversations of what might they be doing, or what is that truck, or what do they do in that business. I have had so much fun. And like I said, I'm heavily biased. That's how my mind works in the world of capitalism. Who is solving problems? But sprinkling those, it could be 2 shares. It doesn't matter. My oldest daughter was astonished, as she is now eating on that account and funding her college expenses. You'll trip into some 7 or 8, 9, 10 baggers when her interest was technology and healthcare. And there was a company that did parallel AI testing of all the different drug innovations that worked really, really well. Might not. And we still share the cell disciplines. When they don't work, they were eliminated. But just sprinkling a couple of companies it can be next to a fund or an ETF. It doesn't all have to be about stock picking. And then when they get closer, we moved tax-free bonds in there because they're known expenses when college is coming. For each year to have some of that completely knocked off the table, this isn't all exciting. Some of this needs to be super safe and disciplined. Those conversations, I think, have been worth more than business school. And if you add all those 5 together, I will most humbly say nothing that I've said or taught them will matter. My best advice is how to live your life, because it will be, and I learned this, it's not going to be about what was taught. It's going to be about what was caught. And doing things the right way with, I believe, a relentless enthusiasm, because I think positive energy is the most scarce resource on the planet these days for parents, and it's hard. I pray and I know the Woods will caught all the good stuff, and it's just getting started.
I love that. I could not agree more. I hope everybody listening can truly appreciate that is years of experience boiled down into five points there. And I cannot wait for these more regular parenting powwows.
Good, because I'm just getting started. I got a lot to learn.
Yeah. Yeah, we're going to share them. And, you know, I think you said something there about stop losses. I mean, we'll modify this list as we learn and see. And grandkids are coming at some point in the future. And there's just all these lessons in life to learn. It's warming and fun, and I love it. This is what it's for. So anybody out there that has any questions, would like to schedule a meeting with the team, can email us, team@Freedom Day Solutions. We have loved the reviews. I don't know what went wild over the last 2 or 3 weeks, but we got more reviews on Spotify than I've seen over the course of the entire show. So I appreciate that. Share this with your friends. Let us know. You can visit us, freedomdaysolutions.com.
Okay, I'm gonna put a Mailbox Money hat on the line then. If there's a couple of comments, I don't know any of that world, but I want to hear feedback from other parents. We don't have this playbook. We're sharing it. Your favorite example of something you learned as a parent that surprised you the very most about raising kids and learning, investing for them or with them, which is my favorite way of doing it. The crazed example that turned you upside down and you did not expect. We'll learn from each other. We'll share that one on a future episode, and they will get a Mailbox Money hat from me with my compliments.
I love it. All right, everybody. We will see you all next week.
This show is brought to you by Freedom Day Solutions, LLC, a registered investment advisory firm advising individuals and families nationwide. Performance is not guaranteed, and past results are not necessarily indicative of future performance. To learn more, visit freedomdaysolutions.com. This show contains general information that is not suitable for everyone and was shared for informational purposes only. Any forward-looking statement or opinion expressed is subject to change without notice. Nothing contained herein constitutes investment, legal, tax, or other advice, nor is it to be relied on in making investment or other decisions. Clients of Freedom Day Solutions may hold positions in the securities discussed.